I have got 2 finished projects and a third that's finished, but I'm just not happy with it. Y'all, my name is Jana Kay, and welcome to my channel, Flourish, Faith, and Fiber, where I share about crocheting, knitting, any fiber arts, adventures that I am taking, and at the end of each video, share a little bit of a devotional thought. So this is Flourish Creatively, podcast number 46, and welcome in. So glad to have you all with me. Thank you for subscribing, for all the comments, being able to connect with each of you in the comments or through the comments just makes my heart happy. And so I just appreciate you all clicking on this video and joining me to see what all I have been working on. And as I said at the beginning, I do have some finished projects and I have some works in progress as well as upcoming plans to share with you, and then ending with the devotional thought. So let's get started. All right, finished objects. I have 2 beanies that I have completed. So in my previous podcast, which I'll put a link to here, I was working on a beanie. I was in Texas for cataract surgery. My mom mentioned she had some yarn that she didn't know what to do with, didn't know if she was going to use it. So I thought, well, I will teach her how to do a corner to corner blanket. I didn't think she had ever done one before, and I was right, she hadn't, and was excited about learning a new stitch. And so I pulled out her yarn that she had, and she had quite a bit. She had some green variegated yarn, and she had this yarn so she started using the green, and she had this yarn that I found as well that is Hobby Lobby. I love this yarn print. This is the colorway Fireworks Show, and it's really pretty. So I thought while she's working up a blanket, I would too. So I was using this yarn. Now I did want to save some of it for a hat, so didn't think I would have enough. But when I get to the blanket that I'm still working on, I'll talk about that. But decided to save 1 skein of it to make a hat with. And as I said, I showed it in my last podcast, but this one, it is finished. And here is the hat. And you can see how corner to corner worked up with it. I did a single crochet in the back loop only brim. So I think I chained 6. And then when you go back and do single crochets in the chain, you end up with 5. So it is 5 single crochet in the back loop only brim. And then the crown, and it's very hard to see with this variegated yarn, but it is called the Burst of Kindness crown. So the corner to corner hat pattern is from my friend Mary, aka Mercy Triumphs at Slow Crochet. It is her pattern, her tutorial that I will link. Everything that I mention, every tutorial, video, channel will all be linked in the description box below. But it is her pattern and her tutorial that I followed. The Burst of Kindness crown is Sanita at Sanita Makes Crochet Items. It is her design, and really love it. I definitely will do it again, and I think I'll use like a solid color you can see the design a little better than you can in this variegated color. But love the way it fits, and I like that it's a little poofy. I did it a little bit longer so it would be poofy up at the top, but really like it, but I'm not keeping it for myself. So this, before I mention where it's going, I did use a 5.5 millimeter hook. So I'm gonna grab my notes and get them a little closer to me so I don't forget anything. But I did use a 5.5 millimeter hook. Now, because I had lived overseas, I'm not positive. I think it might be an eye hook. Anyway, 5.5 millimeter hook. And the hooks that I use is, it's tulip hooks. And I don't know if I have mine here with me. I might have dropped it. Anyway, it's the pink tulip hooks, and they only list the millimeters as well. But I like to make my hats a little bit tighter so that they don't have too many holes, so that they keep my head warm. I love to wear beanies when I go out walking. My husband and I walk 30 minutes every day, and in the winter, it's really great to be able to wear a beanie and keep my head warm. So love this hat. It is going to Bumblebee Mountain Outreach, which is Kristen and KK's charity. They are at K&K Crochet. You can hear all about it. Check out their videos. But they collect hats for parades that they give them away at the end of the year during the Christmas season. And so I wanted to do a hat a month for them, but this is actually the second hat that they are going to get that I finished actually in January. So they're going to get this one as well as the Birthstones crochet along hat that I did for the month of January. All right, so that is, I didn't mention, I'm also putting this out for Ella's hashtag Kaleidoscope Make-Along. It's a make-along because it can be fiber art, it can be paintings, drawings, any kind of art where she is highlighting color. So for her, she's going to try to use up a lot of her variegated or striped yarn, but it's really just the idea of a kaleidoscope. When you look through it and turn it, all the colors fall and just change, and it's just highlighting color in art. And so this will be an entry for that make along as well. So my second hat. So I am also joining into Litza and Rose's crochet along. They are collaborating on a crochet along called the Birthstones Crochet Along, or CAL, for 2025, and it is every month. They're taking the birthstone for that month, and people that are joining in are making projects based on or inspired by the birthstone for that month. So January's you can find in my last podcast. This is for February. February's birthstone is the amethyst, which is a purple stone, anywhere from a light lavender to a medium purple birthstone. So I started out the year joining in with Litza and Rose and making a hat every year or every month, so that I will have 12 hats, because that was my goal for this year, was to get 12 hats done for Bumblebee Mountain Outreach. And so when Litza and Rose started the crochet along, I thought, what a great way. I'll just make a hat a month that goes with their crochet along that I can donate to Bumblebee Mountain Outreach. And this is the hat that I made. Isn't it gorgeous? I love it. I was going through, I have 2 linen closets in my house, really tiny linen closets, and one of them I've put some yarn in because I don't have enough bookshelves yet, and so I put my yarn in one of the linen closets, was going through that trying to find purple, and I came across this yarn. It is a chunky or bulky weight number 5 yarn. I am not a fan of chunky, bulky weight yarn, but when I saw it, I thought this would be a perfect project. So it is Premier Bloom Chunky, and that's the way it knits up. I actually knit last year, I think, or the year before, I knit up a hat with one of the skeins, and so this was the other skein that I had left. And KK, in one of their videos, showed a hat that she knit up that was half double crochet in the back loop only, and I thought it was so pretty. So that's what I did with this yarn. Now this yarn is 109 yards on a 3.5 ounce or 100 gram skein, and it is 100% acrylic, and it is a 5 weight yarn. It calls for an 8 millimeter hook, but I used a 6.5 millimeter hook because, like I said, I like my hats tighter, especially winter hats, and so I decided to use a smaller hook than the yarn called for. And at first when I got started, I thought it was going to be too tight, too stiff of a fabric, but when I finished it, I really liked it. I really love the way it turned out. So I measured from the top of my head to the bottom of my ear, and it's 8 inches, and I added 2 extra inches for the brim, and so made it from the top to the bottom. So you crochet a rectangle. So the length, the longest part of my rectangle was roughly 10 inches in length. And then I measured around my head, and I am about somewhere between 21, 22 inches around, but actually ended up crocheting about 20, just over 20 inches, close to 21 inches around. And that's because I ran out of yarn. I ran out of yarn on the skein and the half skein that I had left from my knitted hat. And so this actually took 1.5 or 1 1/3 skeins of this Bloom Chunky yarn. And so I ended up finding another bulky weight yarn, and I did the seam. And you can see it's a little bit different. Still has some purple in it, so I think it qualifies for the birthstone, the amethyst birthstone. But from the front, you can't really see the seam except where the brim is turned up right there. You can see the seam, but I think it blends fairly nicely, and it will be on the back of my head or towards the back of my head. And so this is what it looks like. Now I do have a small head, and I did give it enough room for a little bit of space up here and turned it up. So somebody that it's not tied around, this knit half double crochet in the back loop is really stretchy, so it should fit somebody that has a wider head and maybe even a longer head than mine. But I really like it. I love the way it turned out. This yarn is beautiful for a chunky yarn. I really do like it. So this will be going to Bumblebee Mountain Outreach. It is my hat for the month of February. It is also going to be it'll be an entry to Ella's Make Along, the hashtag Kaleidoscope Make Along. And of course, for Litza and Rose's crochet along, the birthstones crochet along. So, yeah, getting one project for 3 crochet alongs or make alongs, and so much fun. Really love the way it turned out. I've thought about keeping it for myself since I did this extra hat in January, but I may try this pattern with a 4-weight yarn, not quite a bulky weight. Actually, 4-weight is heavy for me as far as wearables, but not for hats. I do like a 4-weight yarn for hats. So I might try a hat with this pattern, this half double crochet in the back loop. Really like the way that one turned out. All right, I have one more finished object. It is finished, but not to my liking. So it's still a whip as well. And my daughter wrote me, she has 3 cats and she is in an apartment and right by the windowsill. It's got a pretty wide windowsill and her cats love to lay up there. They are house cats, and so they love to lay up there and look out the window. And I think she was going through Etsy. I think that's where she saw it on, and she sent me a picture of a cat mat that you can put in the windowsill, and that would be something for her cats to lay on. And so she asked me, could I make something like that? And of course, as every good crocheter, knitter loves to do, and that is to say, yes, I did. I told her, of course, yes, I could make one of those. And I found the yarn, so I went shopping. She wanted it. She named a couple of colors. One of them was a green, and I found this yarn at Hobby Lobby. Now, I've said before that Hobby Lobby is my closest craft store. And so, yes, I can get yarn at Walmart as well. But as far as a big box craft store, Hobby Lobby's it. So a lot of my yarn does come from there. But they had this on sale. And I did mention I don't like chunky yarn or bulky yarn. And that 4 sometimes is even too big. Well, this is a 7. And there it is. This is a very bulky, chunky 7. It is Yarn Bee Eternal Bliss in the colorway Olive. And as I said, it's a bulky number 7. It's 100% polyester. This is an 8-ounce ball, and there is 28 yards, 25.8 meters on this ball of yarn. And look how chunky it is. And very, very fluffy. Amazing. It's like fatter than my finger almost. It is amazing and so soft and squishy. So I thought it would make a really beautiful cat mat. I did find that they had a smaller one that's probably a 6-weight, but I decided to try the 7-weight. I even bought a ginormous plastic hook. Probably shouldn't have done that because the pattern I found was on a channel called Be Cozy, and I think it's actually the name of the yarn shop. Not quite sure where it's located, but the lady's name was Clarice, and they do a lot of hand knitting projects on that channel. And she had one called the Crisscross Stitch. And so she made a big blanket or a baby size blanket, but I made a cat mat. And look at that gorgeous stitch. Isn't it beautiful in this chunky yarn? But as you can see, my mat looks like a parallelogram, not a rectangle. And I think it's because, my first time through, I did the starting chain, which is this bottom edge right here. I did it too loose. Then I did all the stitches, and my bind off was a lot tighter as well. And I think that's what's caused it. The stitch count is exactly right. There were 16 stitches across, and that stayed consistent. But I think because my chain, and you can see it, it's curling and it's like rippling here, it was so loose that it is causing it to look like a parallelogram. And I don't want a parallelogram, I want a rectangle. So this turned out to be 20 inches in length by 9 inches in the width. It's a 2-row repeat, and so 2 rows were a total of 3 inches. So I did 3 repeats and got 9 inches, but yeah, it's a parallelogram and I don't want a parallelogram. So it's a finished mat, but not, as I said, to my liking. So it is also now a work in progress. So as I said, I am going to take this second skein and I am going to work up another one, try to do a little bit tighter starting chain and see if I can't get more of a rectangle shape. If it works, then I will probably frog this and maybe do it again and make a second one and then ship that off to my grandcats. But so excited about this. It was so much fun that I would love to make a baby blanket in this pattern. Not with this thick, although it is beautiful. I don't know that I want to do it with this thick of a yarn. It is quite a thick blanket. You can see the edge. It is very, very, very thick. And so yeah, I think I will try it with maybe a 6 weight. Might actually work with a chenille 5 weight yarn. I don't know. It is hand knitting and it was so much fun and so easy. So if you don't knit, you can do this. You can hand knit this. Just check out the Be Cozy YouTube channel and yeah, try it. It was so much fun. And that's what my daughter kept asking me, are you sure you want to make another? That one will be okay. And I told her, I said, it's so much fun. I do want to make another, and I might make more blankets, maybe even more cat mats. So yeah, and for sure, if you do markets, and as I said, if you are not a knitter, it is okay. You can do this. If finger knitting is so, well, this was so much fun. And I think it was really quick. It didn't take me long at all. I think probably an hour to an hour and a half because I was watching the video as I was doing it. So yeah, a lot of fun. So yeah, so it is a finished object and a whip. If you've noticed, it is, we're supposed to have rain. It's like an 85% chance of rain today, and it keeps getting darker and darker in here. I think my light that I have from the stand that holds my phone that I'm videoing on, I think it's okay. Hopefully it is okay, but it is getting darker and darker outside, so I think the rain is coming. But I want to show you my second work in progress, which is my corner to corner blanket that I did start while I was in Texas with this yarn that I showed you when I showed my hat that I had finished, or my beanie. I love this yarn print, and this is the colorway Fireworks Show. I have also combined it with Red Heart with Love yarn, and it is in the colorway white. And for my blanket, I am using the recommended 6.0 millimeter, which I know is a J hook. I am using that for my blanket. So I am all the way to the last corner. So this is the bottom edge, and I am on the last corner. I am actually on the last 20 stitches, or 20 rows, not stitches, 20 rows of the blanket. So my pattern has been 20 of the variegated, 10 of the white, 20 of the variegated, 10 of the white. So I have done 10 of this section of variegated, so I have 10 more to go, and then the last 10 of the white to match this corner, the starting corner. So there you go. I am getting so close to having it finished, and I love it. Now, I will say, which I talked about in my last podcast, that I decided instead of doing, I got to thinking it would be 10 and 10, 10 to finish this half of the blanket, 10 to start the decrease part of the blanket, but then it would have been odd because it would have been 10 and 9 and, or no, I'm sorry, 11 and 9. And so I decided to, the 11th row, instead of doing 21, the 11th row, that very center diagonal, I did one row, that center diagonal in white. So it actually is 10 variegated, 1 white, 10 variegated, but the 10 and 10 equal the section of 20. And so still trying to keep the pattern, but I thought just having a one, that center diagonal in white, would look really nice. So I'm going to turn the camera, stand up, and let you see the finished project. I said finished project. It's not finished, but almost. And here it is. There you go. So that is what it is working up to look like. And yeah, just have that corner down at the bottom left to go. So I'm really loving it. I have 4 other whips. 2 of those are the tops or the sweater and the hexie shirt and the oversized sweater that I am making for my Bougie Crochet Wearable series, and also joining in with K&K Crochet's Hexie Cardi Party. And so you can check out my video, my playlist for the Bougie Crochet Wearables. I'll link it in the description box below as well. I'm working on 2 socks, still one. I saw a video. It's Linda and June, the Disley sisters, knitting and crochet channel. And June had, I don't know if it was her first sock, but one of her early, maybe her first sock anyway. And she said, yes, it took me 6 months. And that's exactly how I feel. It takes me a long time to knit socks because I love it. But for some reason, I am a slow knitter. But I get going on crochet projects that I can't put down, and not because I don't like knitting socks, but they just get kind of put on the back burner. But this one pair of socks I am knitting for my mom, I do want to enter that into Ella's hashtag kaleidoscope make along, and so I need to get it done in less than 6 months. And I am making a shorter sock for my mom, so hopefully I can get that done. So 2 socks, 2 crochet tops that I also am working on. I've shown them before, so I'm not going to go over those again now. So we're just going to move on to upcoming plans. All right. One of my biggest plans that I have got going right now is I am working on my Christmas stocking tutorial. So in December, I entered Battle of the Stitches with Heather at Strings and Threads and Teresa at Critters Crochet. They do it every month and ask podcasters to come and join in with them. And I joined in December and made a Christmas stocking. And part of Battle of the Stitches is to do a tutorial, but December was so full that I just didn't have time. And then in January, being in Texas, I didn't bring the thing I use to hold up my phone that can also video from above, and I didn't have it with me. It's very heavy. Didn't pack it in my suitcase, which was a good thing because my suitcase was full on the way back from Texas. It always is. I always tend to buy things, or obviously it was my birthday. I got some things, and so end up filling up a suitcase full. And so it was a good thing I didn't bring it. But now that I'm back home, and I have started working on the tutorial. And if you've done a tutorial, you show crochet, how to crochet certain stitches, and then you turn it off because people don't necessarily want to watch you do every single stitch. So I showed the pattern repeat and left everybody who's watching or will watch the tutorial with 10 rows of the repeat. And so I've got to do those 10 rows as well because I am making the full stocking. My project in December won, so I had to ship my stocking that I made in December off to the winning voter, and so I am making another one. And so, so I am making the full stocking, and so it is going to take me time to get that tutorial out, but I am working on it and excited about getting that done. I have joined in with Decades Diva, which was the creative idea that came from Shannon at the Spoony Stitcher. And she invited Teresa at Critters Crochet to join her, and they hosted last year in the month of October, Decades Diva, but they left out 2 decades, and everybody was like shocked that they left out the 1970s and was like, where are the 70s? We love the 70s. So this year, Decades Divas are just focusing on the 1970s. It is going to be held, or all the videos will be shown during the month of September and October. I have my project decided, and I got a book for Christmas from my daughter, Lulu's Crochet Doll. So I am giving you a hint. My 1970s project is going to be a doll. That's the only hint I will give you. I will show progress on my doll, but not a lot of the project, mostly on the body. But why I'm making a doll, what doll I'm making, will be a secret until my video comes out either in September or October. But so excited about crocheting. I did a doll pattern for, it was hooking up with books that I joined in last year. The last book was Persuasion, and I did a doll that I found the pattern on Amigurumi Today. Yes, their website. It was a free pattern as long as you get the pattern on the website, and I loved making that doll. I made Anne Elliot, the main character, the protagonist in the book Persuasion. Loved it so much, loved making the hair, the dress for the doll, everything. So I am very excited about making a doll for my 1970s Decade Divas project. So keep an eye out for that. And I think by February 15th, maybe the end of February, but I'll link Shannon and Teresa's channel. You can check out the Decade Divas, what they talk about on their channel and when they want to have all podcasters signed up for it. I can't remember, but it is sometime during February or by the end of February that you can sign up and be part of the Decade Divas, the 1970s, and celebrate that decade with us. So another plan is that I've said it over and over, but I am going to cast on my knitted sweater. And as soon as I finish my blanket, the corner to corner blanket that I am making with my mom, I will cast that on. And I should have it done. As I said, I've just got the last little bit, I think 20 more rows to do, and I'm done. So be on the lookout for that sweater and my progress in knitting my first sweater. So excited about continuing on this knitting journey that I have been on for the last 2.5, 3 years. And so excited about learning how to knit a sweater. All right, that is it for the yarny part of my video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you have liked what you have seen, that I have inspired you, your knitting, your crochet, any fiber arts journey that you are on. And I would really appreciate a thumbs up if you have liked this video. Would love for you to check out other podcast videos or my Bougie Crochet wearable series. Look, one of the ways that I have found out, because through watching some YouTube or videos on YouTube, making videos on making videos on YouTube, that one of the best ways to support the people that you watch, whoever that is, whether that's crafters, whether that is just day in the life people, whatever it is that you watch, one of the best ways to support them is giving a thumbs up. So do appreciate that. Okay, we're going to move on to our Discovery Bible study. Okay, it was just getting too dark in here, so I turned the light on. I hope that is not too annoying, but I couldn't see. It was getting way too dark. All right, so I am part of a discipleship group at my church. It is brand new. I was asked to be to lead one, and basically what it is, well, for me, it's a group of women, a very small group, and we go through the Bible together. We read and we journal, and then we share what God is teaching us. Well, we're going through, as I said, the Bible in a year. I have been reading in the Old Testament for a couple of years now and starting over. So my idea was, well, if I'm going to start over back in the Old Testament with this group, then I want to be reading also in the New Testament. It's February. Happy Valentine's Day. I thought what a great place to read was the famous or well-known, or what is considered the love chapter in the Bible, and that is 1 Corinthians 13. And I'm going to be focusing on the characteristics of love and what love really is. And that love is found in God. He is the standard of love. These verses talk about him. And so what do I learn as I look at each characteristic this month, the month of February, when I look at God, at love? And so I'm going to read the 4 verses, or 5, because it's 4 through 8. And then I want to focus on the first characteristic, because that's how far I've gotten when I decided to do this. And so this is what 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 to 8 says. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy, is not boastful, is not conceited, does not act improperly, is not selfish, is not provoked, and does not keep a record of wrongs. Love finds no joy in unrighteousness, but rejoices in the truth. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. And so the first one is love is patient. And when I look at love is patient, so if you followed some of my Bible studies previously, you may realize that I love to look up words in a dictionary. So I looked up the word patient, and this is what the dictionary on my iPhone says. That patient means bearing provocation, in other words, something that instigates, annoyance, misfortune, delay, hardship, pain, etc., with fortitude, which is mental and emotional strength, and calm, and without complaint, anger, or the like. Another definition is enduring trying circumstances with an even temper. It is capable of accepting delay with equanimity, and equanimity is emotional and mental calmness or composure. Some synonyms were calm, forgiving, gentle, quiet, tolerant, understanding, and long-suffering. So I looked up long-suffering, and the definition of long-suffering was refraining from something or forbearing. And so, as I said, that this description is a description of God, which means God is patient. And I was thinking about the ways that I have seen, in light of this definition, have seen God's patience played out. He was patient with Adam and Eve. I mean, they were going to experience death. They were going to now grow old because of their disobedience. He did not destroy all people in the flood. He kept a remnant, Noah and his family, and the same for Israel. When Israel was highly disobedient and completely rebelled against God and followed other ways from other nations that didn't follow God, God kept a remnant. He was patient with them. He waits patiently today for more and more people to believe in him. And he is so patient with me because when I am, when I don't behave in the way that he would want me to behave, when I don't obey, when I don't follow, when I rebel, he forgives because of what Jesus did in living a perfect life and dying for my sins. God is faithful and just to forgive, and he patiently directs me and teaches me. God is the perfect picture of patience. He is strong, emotional, and mentally stable. We see anger, but his anger is not because he is impatient. He's not. He is perfectly patient. His anger comes out because of his glory. That is when people disregard his character and rebel against him. It is not because he is impatient. He's not impatient. He's perfectly patient. And so what does that mean for me? Well, I think patience translates into trust. If I know God is perfectly patient, then I should trust him in every circumstance. And it means that I can endure trying circumstance with an even temper because I have placed my trust in God. I trust him with every part of my life. And that's what it means for me. Do I do that perfectly? No, as I said earlier, when I don't, he forgives. But because of knowing that he is perfectly patient, it means I can trust him. And it also means that I can have love and patience towards others, that I should practice love and patience towards others. People are created in the image of God, and those who trust in Jesus and follow him are given his spirit. So we have a helper that will help us understand his word and help us be obedient. And so I have a helper that can help me be patient with others so that hopefully through my patience, people will know that Jesus is patient. Again, I won't do it perfectly. So I am so grateful that he is forgiving, which is one of the synonyms of patient. But I'm so grateful he is forgiving and he patiently gives me another chance and waits for me to grow in my patience. And I just appreciate that about him. Love is patient. God is patient. And we can trust in him and we can exercise patience towards others. So I hope this has been a blessing to you. I'm pretty convicted that I need to really practice patience and think about it and really meditate on that and do better in being patient, especially this month as we celebrate Valentine's, the month of love. Again, thank you for joining me. If you've watched all the way through, I truly appreciate you and hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye, y'all.